I had like a bunch of like Twitter notifications, Facebook, like Instagram texts and missed calls and stuff, and everyone was just like, I'm so sorry, like I'm praying for you.
The second that the phone started going crazy, I knew. It's mother's intuition. I mean, that was my biggest fear.
I remember just calling the first name I could find on my phone. I was like, what? Like, what's going on? Like, just screaming. And
I ran to my neighbor's house with Dan Krause, who works for the Clackamas County Sheriff, and
I grabbed my radio and I grabbed my cell phone and I started trying to figure out what was going on.
She was just basically my built-in best friend. We did like everything together.
When Maddi was in a room or in a group or on a team, everybody knew it.
She had a zeal and zest for life, you know, and that carried forward on the softball field.
She wanted to be the first girl in the Major League, you know, Hall of Fame. So, she just worked a softball tournament that day, and the boy had asked her to go grab a bite to eat and wanted to know if she wanted to go grab a bite to eat.
I literally watched her walk away to the car, and that was like my last memory of her.
Breaking news, a deadly crash in West Lynn involving 2 teenagers.
I know that they went sideways based on the skid marks that I can see here. So they go sideways, and you know, once you lose control of the car, you're not driving anymore. Isaac Newton is, and the laws of physics take over. And it just slid straight down, and that car impacted the telephone pole.
I remember the words of one of our deputies who was there and said it was one of the worst that he'd seen. Just seeing the car split apart and basically in pieces and broken in half, and they were still extricating Maddi at that point when I arrived.
Tried to run down and see her. They like captured me and wouldn't let me go, and I'm like, that's my best friend, I need to go. And they're like, you can't go down there.
I knew that standing on that hill that day as I was waiting for the news, you know, I stood there and I thought of that, you know, whatever happens today, my life will never be the same, you know. And
it wasn't until I saw literally the life flight helicopter flying over our house, because I mean the crash site's only a few minutes away, and so we saw the helicopter literally flying over our house, and I was like, oh my God, like this is serious.
The little room, they take you to a little room. Just the parents. And they say what they're supposed to say. Maddie's pretty sick. She's not doing well. It's very serious.
she said there's no way, you know, there's no way she's gonna make it.
She was brain dead at that point.
I didn't want to let go of her, like just this, it's so unreal thinking like this is the last time I'm ever gonna see someone that I used to see every single day of my life.
I sang her the song that I sang to her when she was born. You are my sunshine. And I told her we'd be okay. And that it wasn't goodbye and that we'd see her again.
I didn't really know what to say. Like, you don't really know how to say goodbye to someone like that. I mean, I told her how much I loved her and that I always will, she'll always be with me.
The big challenge for me is now, I mean, what could I have done differently and what can I do differently now? I mean, what can we, I want to, you know, empower teens and adults.
This accident has definitely made me realize just how dangerous driving is.
There is a consequence to what they do. And it really, in a lot of ways, just shattered a bunch of lives.
I don't know if she felt like she could say, like, you need to slow down. Like, if she was uncomfortable, I don't know if she would have said anything at that point.
I don't know that I ever talked to her about what would you do if you were in this situation. And I mean, I never thought about joy drives.
When you're in that situation, you know, you need to stand up for yourself and just remove yourself from the situation, you know. Stop this car, let me out of this car, have somebody come pick you up.
You know, I don't want to see another child, another sister, another, you know, parent experienced that emotional wreckage, you know?
She was my best friend, and I don't know how to go on without her.
We've been in shock. I mean, it's hard to believe that it's been over a year, and in some ways, I still refuse to believe it. I still think she's at softball camp.
In my garage, and Maddie's softball bag is in there, her backpack for softball, and I'm like, oh, I got to throw that in my car because, so for her next tournament, you know, it's in there. I'm like, well, you know, it kind of hit me, there's not going to be another tournament.
She'll never be in the Major League Hall of Fame, but her name will inspire people, and her name will create change.
You are my sun.